Take a deep breath, because the moment you're in right now is far more powerful than you realize. Even if your outer world looks slow, quiet, or uncertain, something extraordinary is happening beneath the surface. Life is shifting, the tides are moving, and everything, absolutely everything, is about to turn in your favor. Your world does not change by chance. It changes by assumption. The inner stories you accept as true begin to harden into the facts of your life. The moment you decide that everything is now unfolding for your good, the universe has no choice but to reorganize itself around that decision. There is a power within you that never sleeps. It creates through the images you hold, the feelings you choose, and the states you enter. And right now, that power is waiting for you to claim a new state. The state of someone who is supported, guided, favored, and lifted. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the relief of everything suddenly working out. Imagine the ease of doors opening that were once closed. Imagine the joy of seeing the evidence of your inner decision show up so effortlessly in your world. That feeling, hold it. That inner shift is the turning point. Stop arguing for your limitations. Stop rehearsing the old stories. Stop predicting disappointments. Your life is not responding to your fears. It is responding to your assumption. Step into the assumption that the breakthrough is already done. Step into the feeling that life is on your side. Step into the awareness that help, support, and divine timing are aligning beautifully for you. Nothing is waiting except you. Nothing is delayed except your acceptance of the good that already belongs to you. When you decide that things are turning in your favor, everything must obey that decision. People will show up. Opportunities will appear. The right words, the right timing, the right connections, they'll flow to you like water finding its path. This is your moment. This is your shift. This is the chapter where it all begins to make sense. You are not standing at the edge of failure. You are standing at the edge of alignment. The old is dissolving, the new is forming. And very soon, you will look back and realize that everything you went through was placing you exactly where you needed to be. So claim it now. Everything is turning in my favor. Feel it, own it, live in it, because the turn is not coming, it has already begun. Your inner assumption is the silent architect of your entire reality. Long before anything shows up in your outer world, it begins as a quiet acceptance within you, a belief, a feeling, a mental posture you hold without even realizing its power. Every assumption you entertain becomes a seed, and the world simply mirrors its growth. You may think life is responding to your actions, your effort, or your circumstances, but in truth, it is responding to what you have accepted as true about yourself and your life. What you assume becomes the standard you unconsciously live from. If you assume you are lucky, life rises to meet that expectation. If you assume you are overlooked, you will find evidence supporting that too. The world is not your judge. It is your reflection. It does not question whether your assumption is good or bad, empowering or limiting. It simply expresses it. This is why two people can walk through the same situation and experience completely different outcomes. Their assumptions, not the situation, shape their reality. Every transformation you desire begins with changing what you assume to be true. You cannot step into a new life while holding on to an old identity. The assumption you carry creates the emotional tone of your days. Confidence or doubt, hope or fear, expansion or contraction. Once you shift the inner narrative, the outer world has no choice but to align. It may look like coincidence, progress, or unexpected blessings, but it is simply your assumption crystallizing into form. This inner work is subtle but profound. You do not need to fight circumstances or force outcomes. You only need to assume the state of the version of you who already has what you want. Feel their confidence, their relief, their certainty. Sit in that feeling until it becomes more familiar than your old doubts. Consistency is the key. An assumption held with faith becomes a fact. Your outer world is never the starting point. It is the final echo. The true beginning is always within you. Change the assumption, and you change the destiny. Imagination is not just a mental pastime. It is the creative force that shapes every shift in your life. Everything you have experienced, achieved, or become began first as an image in your mind, conscious or unconscious. When you imagine something with feeling, you are not daydreaming. You are impressing a new blueprint upon the deeper part of your being, the part that knows how to turn invisible ideas into visible events. This inner power does not question whether the image is big or small, possible or impossible. It simply responds. The moment you clearly picture a new outcome, you activate a chain reaction within yourself. Your emotions shift, your assumptions adjust, and your behavior subtly aligns with the reality you have imagined. More importantly, life itself begins to reorganize in ways you may not immediately understand. People show up, opportunities emerge, delays dissolve, and coincidences begin to cluster around you. What looks like luck is the outer expression of an inner decision. Imagination creates the state you occupy, and the state you occupy determines what you attract, what you notice, and what becomes available to you. If you constantly picture worst-case scenarios, you live in a state of fear and limitation. But the moment you imagine a successful outcome, really feel it, embrace it, and allow it to become natural, your inner state lifts. From that elevated state, a different world becomes possible, because a different world is being created from within you. This is why imagining the end is so powerful. When you see yourself as already having what you want, you bypass doubt and step directly into the emotional reality of the fulfilled desire. That emotional reality is the magnet that draws the physical reality to you. You do not need to know how it will happen. You only need to hold the image until it feels real, until the imagined scene becomes more familiar than your current circumstances. Imagination is the beginning of every breakthrough. It is the doorway through which new possibilities enter your life. When you allow yourself to see a new outcome, life begins its quiet rearrangement to match the vision you have chosen. Persistence in the desired state is the silent but decisive power behind every transformation. When you commit to holding the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you begin to reshape your inner world so consistently that the outer world has no choice but to bend and follow. Most people shift their state only temporarily, feeling confident for a moment, hopeful for a day, aligned for a week, and then they fall back into old patterns. But true persistence means you keep returning to the state of your fulfilled desire, no matter what circumstances appear to say. You choose the end result again and again, until it becomes your natural dwelling place. At first, this may feel unnatural because your senses constantly remind you of what is not yet changed. But senses only show the past, old assumptions, old emotions, old expectations that have already been set into motion. Persistence is your way of declaring that the future you desire is more real to you than the past you're leaving behind. Each time you re-enter the state of fulfillment, you weaken the grip of the old story. Each time you feel as if your desire is already yours, you dissolve the influence of doubt, fear, and limitation. The old reality cannot survive when you consistently stay loyal to the new one. You are feeding the new story with your focus, your emotion, and your inner certainty. Eventually, that new story becomes dominant. It becomes the lens through which you interpret life, the identity you move from, the energy you radiate without effort. Time is not the deciding factor here. Consistency is. What you persist in imagining and feeling must materialize, because you are planting the same seed over and over until it grows strong enough to break through into physical form. Circumstances are not fixed, they are fluid, malleable, and responsive. They may seem stubborn only because your inner state has been inconsistent. Once you hold steady, once you occupy the feeling of the fulfilled desire more often than the feeling of lack, the shift becomes inevitable. The old reality begins to crumble, not through force, but through neglect. You have stopped feeding it with attention. You have chosen a new state, and with persistence, that new state becomes the world you live in. Your breakthrough begins the moment you stop doubting, because doubt is the only force that interrupts the natural flow of your desires. What you want is not distant, difficult, or hidden from you. It is already forming, already aligning, already on its way, the moment you decide it is yours. But doubt acts like a brake, slowing the momentum, scattering your focus, and pulling you back into old patterns. The truth is that life responds instantly to certainty. The moment you stop negotiating with fear and refuse to entertain the possibility of failure, you step into a state where your success becomes unavoidable. Fear always tries to make you reconsider your power. It whispers about what could go wrong, what might not happen, what has failed before. But fear has no creative power, only the power you grant it through attention. When you stop arguing with fear, stop giving it the microphone, stop entertaining its scenarios, something dramatic happens. Your inner world becomes unified. Instead of being pulled in multiple directions, your energy flows directly toward the outcome you desire. This unity of intention is what makes the turn in your favor inevitable. When your mind, emotions, and assumptions align in one direction, the outer world reorganizes with surprising speed. You begin to see opportunities that were always there, but previously invisible. You notice solutions instead of obstacles. You feel guided, supported, and carried. Because without doubt clouding your perception, you can actually see the path that was meant for you. Breakthroughs don't happen because circumstances suddenly become easy. They happen because you shift into a version of yourself who no longer entertains the old limitations. Doubt may still try to rise, but you no longer identify with it. You acknowledge it without surrendering to it. You remember that fear is only a leftover echo of a previous identity, not a prophecy of your future. The moment you stop doubting, you send a clear signal to life. I am ready. And life responds. Doors open. Timing aligns. Things that once felt impossible begin unfolding with a grace that surprises you. This is the power of unwavering faith, not blind optimism, but the inner knowing that what you desire already belongs to you. When fear no longer negotiates your destiny, your breakthrough becomes not just possible, but guaranteed. Everything is already working behind the scenes for you, even when it feels like nothing is moving at all. Life often rearranges itself in silence. The most profound shifts usually happen where you cannot see them, in places beyond your current awareness. What you interpret as delay is rarely delay. It is preparation, alignment, and orchestration. It is life bringing together the people, timing, opportunities, and conditions that match the outcome you have claimed within yourself. When you understand this, you stop feeling frustrated by waiting and begin to trust the unseen activity working in your favor. Any desire you hold creates a new path for your life, but that path must be built before you walk on it. Much like a building under construction, the foundation is laid long before the structure appears above ground. You may not see anything happening externally, but beneath the surface, the groundwork is forming. Conversations are unfolding, connections are being made, circumstances are shifting, and future moments are quietly aligning to meet you at the perfect time. The mind often mistakes stillness for stagnation, but stillness is often the final stage before manifestation becomes visible. When nothing seems to be happening, everything is happening. Life is removing the wrong options, preparing the right ones, and clearing space for what belongs to you. If something is taking time, it is because the version of you who receives the desire is still being shaped and strengthened. Alignment is never wasted. Nothing is random. Everything is preparing you for your own expansion. When you realize that the universe is not working against you, but arranging itself precisely for you, your energy softens. You stop pushing. You stop doubting. You stop demanding immediate results. Instead, you begin to rest in the awareness that movement is happening in the unseen realm. You begin to understand that the pieces are not just falling into place, they are falling into the right place. Trust the hidden process. Trust the timing that seems unfamiliar. Trust that the lack of visible progress is often the greatest sign that something powerful is forming beneath the surface. What is yours is already moving toward you, and soon what once felt delayed will reveal itself as perfect alignment. You are the source, not the victim, because everything you experience begins within you long before it appears in your outer world. The world you see is not an independent force acting upon you. It is a mirror reflecting your dominant assumptions, emotions, and inner states. When you believe life is happening to you, you feel powerless, reactive, and controlled by circumstances. But the moment you recognize that life is happening through you, everything changes. You realize that the cause of your experience is internal, and the outer world only expresses what you have accepted as true. This does not mean you consciously choose every event. It means your inner patterns, your beliefs, expectations, and interpretations shape the lens through which you encounter life. Change the lens and the entire picture changes. When you shift the cause within, the world has no choice but to rearrange itself accordingly. You cannot feel unworthy and expect abundance. You cannot expect rejection and walk into acceptance. You cannot expect rejection and walk into acceptance. You cannot carry an inner story of limitation and step into freedom. But the moment you rewrite the inner story, the outer world transforms effortlessly. Nothing outside you has creative power over you. Circumstances may suggest a certain direction, but they do not dictate your destiny. They only echo the state you currently occupy. If you react to these circumstances with fear or resignation, you reinforce the old pattern. But if you respond with awareness, choosing a new inner state, regardless of what the senses show, you interrupt the old cycle and create a new one. This is true freedom, the recognition that the source of change is always within your control. You no longer chase external validation, force outcomes, or fight against appearances. Instead, you align your inner world with the reality you desire, and the outer world eventually bows to that alignment. When you step into the role of the source, you reclaim your power. You stop blaming, stop waiting, stop shrinking. You begin to live intentionally, knowing that the real shift happens in consciousness first. And as you change within, the world reflects that change with precision. You are not the victim of life, you are its creator. In the end, everything comes back to one truth. Your inner world is the engine of every transformation in your life. The assumptions you hold, the images you embrace, the states you persist in, the faith you choose over fear, these are the forces that shape your destiny. Nothing outside you has the authority to define your path unless you hand it that power. The moment you return to your inner center, the moment you choose the state of fulfillment, life begins to turn in your favor with a precision that feels almost miraculous. Every desire you hold is already moving toward you. Every shift you've imagined is unfolding in the unseen. You are not waiting for life to change. Life is waiting for you to assume the version of yourself who already has what you seek. When you step into that identity, when you hold that feeling, when you stay loyal to that inner truth, the outer world must follow. This is not wishful thinking. It is the natural law of consciousness. So walk forward with certainty. Walk forward knowing that nothing is working against you. Walk forward understanding that every piece is aligning. Every step is guided, and every desire is already fulfilled in the unseen realm. Your breakthrough is not ahead of you, it is within you. And the moment you claim it, the moment you feel it, the moment you accept it as done, your world transforms. Thank you for listening, for opening your heart, and for choosing to step into the power that has always been yours. Your time is here. Your shift is now, and everything is turning in your favor.